Happy Homebrew Wednesday! Our Homebrew Wednesday is dedicated to my man, Mr. Chris Pashtian. He wrapped his car around a tree, but luckily he is okay. Chris, we were all thinking about you, and in tribute to Mr. Pashtian, we are going in Hunter Nails Brewing. I'm going to do the Hop Experiment 2017 Green Nostalgia. This is the coolest freaking label of, I think, of all the beers that came in, because it's got Lou Ferrigno Hulk on there. This is a Green Machine experimental hop. Alpha acid is 16.8. So let's crack open into this. So the Green Machine, and again the color looks very similar, no surprise, because get some aroma. This thing is like a mix of everything. It's like a mix of citrus, it's a mix of tropical. It's like a blend of everything. It almost seems like I get some berries on this, which I don't normally say. Like, I want to say raspberry, but very cool smell. And let's go in for the taste. Cheers, Chris. Get well soon, buddy. Dude, that is freaking good, man. And some other folks were talking about oak flavor in this. I can kind of see that. Dude, this is a freaking awesome hop. I actually like the bittering qualities of it. It's a 16.8% alpha acid, so a pretty distinctive. Matter of fact, this is more distinctive than I want to say. I think SJ's had a pretty distinctive aroma to it. This one probably has the most distinctive. And like I said, it's a blend of everything. It's just very strong. Like I said, get well, Chris, man. We're rooting for you. Moving on to the Homebrew Wednesday. This is the porter that we've got sitting in the fermenter right now. It started out at, oh, it smells glorious. It started out at 1079 OG. It's been fermenting since Sunday, so today's Wednesday. So it's been fermenting for, you know, and I hit it with a starter, so it aggressively rolled pretty vigorously for about 2.5 days, and then it kind of started bloop, bloop, and now today, you know, I didn't see any activity, but as soon as I took the blow-off tube and I put a airlock on there, now it's back to bubbling, so it's still fermenting. Yeah, imperial strength. I love the flavor on this thing. It's very, very smooth, clean, and you'll see a picture. I got a little bit of brew day footage, so stick around and watch the brew day footage. Fun brew day. I just had it was a great Sunday, had a great brew day. Yesterday I boiled about 2 ounces of oak chips, and I boiled it this time because last time I tried to use oak. I put it in without boiling it like the guy told me to. He told me to boil it first. I didn't do that. I put it in and I ended up with this lumber taste. So I boiled it to get the kind of the treated wood out of the flavor out of there, and when I boiled it, it turned the water like brown. So I know there's some stuff. I mean, the oak chips don't look brown, but when you boil it, all that nasty crap comes out. So once I did that, then I dried the chips, and I boiled a mason jar, and I put the oak chips in, the 2 ounces of oak chips, and then I filled it up with Woodford Reserve Kentucky bourbon. And we're gonna let that sit for, I don't know, several days. Dump the oak and the bourbon. And if you don't think I should dump it's literally 2 ounces of oak chips in a mason jar, a regular mason jar, filled up with bourbon. I just plan on, last time I soaked it like that on the very first Imperial Stout I ever did. I soaked it like that, and then I drained it, and I kept the soaked chips, and I put the soaked chips in the fermenting bucket and let it go. And a lot of guys basically said, hey, I can kind of get a hint of bourbon. I don't really get the quality. I wish there would have been more bourbon. So I'm thinking, I'm just gonna dump the whole damn thing in now. If you don't think I should do that, please let me know in the comments if you got some suggestions, if there's a better way to do it. I don't know, because this is trial and error on my part. Yeah, it's almost like coffee, and I didn't put any coffee in it, so I'm really digging this. It's gonna be good. If I get that oak bourbon flavor to go with the nice, perfect bittering of the porter that I want, I'm gonna be a happy camper. So anyway, hey, I'm gonna go check out the brew day, and I will see you guys next week. Cheers. It's a brew day. See, I got everything set up. So today I'm doing a really cool recipe. It's I call it Dean's Utterly Delicious Maple Porter. I've called it that in the past, but I think I'm gonna change the name because I gotta get that's a crappy name. But anyway, this is gonna be a cool recipe. It's right now I'm heating up the strike water, but it's gonna be probably about a 8%, 8 and higher percent in the past. It has been porter, a robust porter. So I'm using a base malt of 10 pounds. Here's the grains. Base malt of about 10 pounds of Maris Otter, 8.8 ounces of black patent malt, 10.4 ounces of chocolate malt, a pound of caramel 10, and during the boil I put a pound of maple syrup, pure maple syrup in it. And then when I ferment, I'm going to go, so that should make a pretty robust porter if my beersmith is accurate from last recipe. Then when I go and ferment in secondary, I'm going to use British Ale 2 yeast, White Labs, whatever that is, British Ale 2. I made a starter, so I got the starter sitting over here ready to go. Made that on Saturday, so it should be pretty strong by now. When I ferment, I'm going to use oat chips soaked in bourbon, and I might throw some cow nibs in as well, about 8.5%. So anyway, I will take video throughout the brew day here, and that will be my Homebrew Wednesday. So, and I'm wearing the right shirt. Saw Star Wars yesterday, loved it, but I won't spoil it. So cheers. Okay, here, so I have to swap my hocks over so I can start heating the strike water, because this EBC only has one hock at a time. If I ever upgrade, I'll get 2 hocks. But so once I heat my boil kettle up, I have to unplug it, swap the hocks over, and I got this hock marked with this little yellow tie so I don't ever screw this up. That would be bad. Plug this thing in, and then the temperature now is still on the liquor tank on the far right, so I have to look up here. I'm at 171 where I want to be. By the time I end up heating up my strike water, 4 gallons of strike water I have, and I swap the power back to the boil coil on the hot liquor tank, it will have dropped to 168, and then I'll lower the temperature to 168. But for now, since the temperature probe is sampling the water in the hot liquor tank, and I've moved the hock over to the boil kettle, I'm going to turn the temperature up just a little bit to get the heat, coil to turn on. Turn up to just 181. It'll kick on, and I usually look in the boil kettle to make sure I see the little squiggly lines coming out of the heater to make sure it turns on. So I'll show you what I'm doing here. So there, the little dot there means that the heat just kicked on. So I look in here, and I should see the little squiggly line starting to come out, which I see it now. So now I know I've got heat going to the boil kettle. So that's how you got to do it when you only got one hock. Cheers. Okay, I've got the underletting going, so I got the water's heated to 176 in my boil kettle. It's going into pump 2, coming into the bottom of the mash tun, and it's filling up from the bottom. Okay, got it set for 154. Got my herms already kicked in. I moved it over from pump 2 to pump 1, so now it's going into the heat exchanger, out of the heat exchanger, and as you can see, my heat exchanger is now set for 168. It dropped temp, and I've got the heater back applied so it'll maintain temp. And I've got some good dark fluid coming out. Okay, mash started at 9:25, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the recipe. So, like I said, this is going to be a robust porter, yet to be named. I told you the grain build. For the hop schedule, it's 60 minutes. I'm going to put a ½ ounce of Magnum. I also have some Willamette. I think an ounce of Willamette I'm going to put in, I believe, at 10 minutes. I'll come back and check that if I'm... Okay, it's been a long sparge, but here I am. I've gotten just about, well, I'm at coming up on 6 gallons. I usually get about 7.25 gallons. All right, time for the make it good ingredient. All right, so it got a little higher than I thought. The target pre-boil was 1056. I got 1060. Okay, so I finished the mash, cleaning out the mash tun, and I'm bringing up the kettle to boil. That's a healthy looking porter right there. So they have a nice tan head on it. Okay, so probably about 40 minutes into the boil. Maybe 35-40 minutes. Doing a pretty vigorous one because I want this to boil off a gallon, get the gravity I want. I'm thinking it's going to have a really nice chocolatey looking head on it. It's going to be good. Okay, so as brew days go, this has been a typical brew day. I had one screw up. Could have had more, I mean, but I had one screw up. I was supposed to throw in the last hop edition in the Werflock tablet at 157. I looked up at the clock. I saw it was 2 past a number. It was actually 152. I threw it in 5 minutes early, but actually it works out pretty well because I was a little concerned that the IBUs was a couple of points low. So now the IBUs are up to 37 according to Beersmith, so I'm okay with that. Just threw in my yeast nutrient, which was 10 minutes out, so I got another 6 minutes to go, and then I'll go into a very quick whirlpool just so I can get everything in position, and then we'll start throwing it into the fermenter. Cheers. Okay, so the OG is 1079. I was looking at 1064, so yeah, my system needs some tweaking, but hey, I'm happy. 1079 OG, that's gonna be, here's the color. Came out, well, you know, it's got all the hops and everything in it. Came out looking a little, but that's a perfect color for a porter. I'm very happy with it. Yeah, I think that's gonna work. I put that bourbon in there. Ooh, my wife is gonna like this. All right, cheers. All right, so there it is. Almost there. Okay, last part of the brew day is taking the yeast starter and pitching it. So pull this out. Get a little spray just to make sure I don't put anything bad in there. And in it goes. Oh no, that's a rookie mistake. Well, I just dropped the little spinner pellet in there. Guess I won't be doing any yeast starters until I'm done. Okay, all right, just put this thing on a blow-off tube, and it is 2:38 on Sunday, the 17th of December. We'll see how long it takes this thing to start bubbling. Okay, let's see. It is now 8:22. This thing's bubbling quite a bit. It was probably bubbling a little sooner. I didn't get down here and check it, for I've been at dinner with a guest for the past several hours, but starters work. Okay, so the porter right now is sitting at 7.9%. It was at 1079. It's down to 1019, so it's at 7.9%. Got this oak soaking in the bourbon, and